money's the driving vehicle here. As long as the NFL is the number one sport in our country, as long as we know no matter what the NFL does, people gonna keep logging in or turning TVs on and doing whatever. They're gonna keep making money.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today, academic and athletic consultant for the CK Save Project, George Ockett. How are you, sir?
Good. Happy Easter to you, brother.
It is a happy Easter, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday, it's segment one. We're going to talk about football's stranglehold on America. In segment two, I'm going to tell you why I hate the offseason. And in segment three, I'm going to tell you why I love the offseason. But first, George, football is ruining college and pro basketball, and them Bamas don't care. So less than 4 months after saying there will be no Christmas games, the NFL has now scheduled 2 Christmas games, and Christmas, George, is on a Wednesday this coming year. So it's one thing to have the Saturday excuse post-college football. You always play on Sunday, and Monday's your night. Now you got Thursday, but they're taking Wednesday. George, this is how it's going to work. To make the Wednesday game happen, the teams that play on Christmas will play Saturday in week 16, which is December 21st, and then turn around and play Christmas, which is week 17. What are we doing, man? We're talking about player safety. We talk about making all these rules. We talk about making all these changes, but they don't care. Talk to me about Christmas football on a Wednesday and what the NBA should do, if anything.
There's not much NBA can do. Money's the driving vehicle here. As long as the NFL is the number one sport in our country, as long as we know no matter what the NFL does, people gonna keep logging in or turning TVs on and doing whatever. They're gonna keep making money, and they're gonna give you the product no matter what. And that's how we got to the 17 game season. So, to them, Christmas Day is theirs. Well, to them, any day is theirs. When they feel like it and they feel like playing, that's what they're gonna do. They are not going to miss a chance to make money. And they know that week you're talking about Christmas Day, everybody's home. Nothing people like better than watching football. So they're going to give you their product. I mean, it was like that. They played Christmas Eve or whatever, Eve or this year. So they're not going to stop. It's a juggernaut that has no care whatsoever about anything else or anything around them. Oh, they're like the Vikings back in ancient time. They're going to sail right up your river. They're going to jump off the boat, and they're going to wreck holy hell on everything that's out there, and going to take, pillage, loot, and steal whatever they possibly can, and they're going to continue to do it. And there's nothing that can stop them right now. So it is what it is, brother.
So football money has real fans. The ratings are real. The games George mentioned, ratings bonanza. Out of the last 100 shows of last season, over 90 of them was some type of football, and a majority of it was the NFL. So the ratings are real. Everybody else is playing catch up. So I want to throw this at you, George, and tell me if it's disrespectful to the NBA, but should the NBA, with Christmas Day being the unofficial kickoff of the NBA season, play games at like 11 o'clock in the morning, brunch bunch games, or start games around halftime of the NFL game? Or is that just too much, man? What do you think about that idea?
I think that's going to be detrimental to them because they're not going to get anybody to watching at that point in time. Let's be honest. If there's a football game on, they're not. NBA is not going to get but so many people anyway. So They just got to go with what they got. They know they got at the beginning of their season. They
Because
know
they
they
got
got
their
to.
5 marquee games that they show on
Right,
Christmas,
right,
starting at noon and
right,
ending at some god awful hour.
right. But it wouldn't matter if you. It wouldn't matter if you booked the Lakers and Celtics. It's not going to be an NFL game. It's the beginning of the season. They're not. Are going to people are going to wait until like most people do. You know, your regular fans are probably going to wait until we get to that till NFL season starts tailing off or getting ready to head out to start paying attention to NBA. Like fans like us, we'll sit and we'll be like, "Oh man, I'll catch that game, but I'll wait until I see what's going." Because at that point in time, the NFL's in the thick of the season and it's coming down to the end. So there's no good way for the NBA to get out of this situation. The only thing they can hope for is that they put some bad games on and they can put their marquee games, and hopefully their marquee games can draw a couple viewers. Because I know they don't hope that. I know they don't think that they were going up against NFL thinking they were going to win that battle. I don't care who they put on. So I mean, I don't know if they have. There's no good way around it for them, not whatsoever.
What bothers me though is that they're inching to 18. Okay, that's not a secret. They're inching up to 18. They're making all of these rule changes for player safety and so forth. They've got money coming out of the wazoo, but they won't pay for grass fields when all of the data says otherwise. Tell me what. Tell me, in your opinion, why they won't even do that.
Because well, I mean, it's easy. There's less maintenance with the artificial turf. We don't have the problem of bad weather. You can always put a game on. Grass fields, and then in the indoor stadiums, grass fields. Then you got to have the retractable dome top or whatever, so you can make sure it gets sunlight. There's so many other things that go into it. I can see where it's a call. You can call it a cost cutting move or however you want to, but they're going to be slow to come around to that stuff. Still, we're at a situation in a place where reusable commodities is what the players are.
Yes.
The players are getting paid tremendous amounts of money, but not even close to the amounts of money that the owners are making off of the teams themselves. I mean, if you go back and look, last sale of the team when the Commanders or Redskins, whatever you want to call them, they go to sell. What did he wind up paying?
Six
Six
billion with a
billion.
B.
6 billion for that franchise. Do you think anybody that paid 6 billion is worried about a crash field, whether it's in or not? And the amount of money that it's going that $6 billion commodity generates is astronomical. We can't even sit there and talk from merchandising rights and how many hot dogs are sold at the state. There's so much money there on an NFL franchise. And if you look at the TV deals, the way that got restructured, because they're getting ready to come up again, it's ridiculous. So it doesn't matter. Why am I going to bother to withhold a product that's going to cost you or me as the owner going to cost me X amount of dollars when the need and the want for the product is so great? I mean, this reminds you of the crack epidemic in DC back in the early 80s, because it doesn't matter what happens. And they've proven it. No matter what the league does, they can lie to you to their face. They can outright treat the players like crap, and it doesn't matter. We continue to come back, and they know it, so they're going to keep rolling it out. So hey,
Yeah.
man.
And to quote the Nature Boy Ric Flair to end this segment, whether you like it
Well,
or you don't like it,
I get you better
sit
learn
down
to
and
love
look at it
it.
because it's the best thing
It's
going
like,
today.
yes,
Learn to
indeed.
love it.
That's right.
Woo! And with that, in segment 2, I'll talk about why I'm hating the NFL offseason right now. We'll be right back on the Eye Coaches Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast in segment 2. Longtime fans of the show know I hate the offseason, no matter what the sport. And I hate the offseason because players got free time. So this is a serious situation. George, I think I'm the first person giving you the details of it, but police are searching for Kansas City star wide receiver Rashee Rice in their investigation of a major traffic accident that took place last week in Dallas, according to the Dallas Morning News and their local affiliates. Citing law enforcement officials, the Dallas Morning News reported that a vehicle that is believed to be registered or leased to Rice was involved in a crash last week in Dallas. A police call sheet obtained by the Dallas Morning News, notice I keep going back to the source, confirmed that the officials are searching for Rice in connection with the accident. By the time this airs, more information, will be available. But George, Rice is 23. He grew up in Fort Worth, played all 4 years at SMU. Fans of the show may or may not know, but George was a long-time athletic director, so he understands a lot about the student athlete and then staying close, and then in the offseason coming back and just being around whatever. George, as you see this story, what are your thoughts?
They need to figure out what's going on. I mean, first things first is they got to get that young man turn himself in. I mean, the off season can always be tricky, especially when you bring a bunch of kids from different places and different backgrounds into one team coherent unit. And they have the option to get away from it. I mean, you think this is going to be different because I think that's where it gets away because it's a situation where these are pros, they're athletes that are for the main part supposed to be somewhat adulting and take care of themselves and make right decisions. But you still, in a lot of situations, as we keep going down the line, they're getting younger and younger. Each league is turning over and getting younger and younger. So NFL is going to start having to do what the NBA does and start looking at how they handle their players during the off season, of what changes they have to make, what do they need to provide, structures they need to put in place. Because, every time and that's a lot of times with the NFL, you got kids that are coming from the mud, they're coming from the bottom. They had to grind to do these things, and now you give them money and they get a chance to go home. Too many influences around there that grew up with them, and that's something that they're going to be battling. So the first thing they got to do is find out, and the team stepped in already. They've probably already contacted them because the police contacted the team. They reached out to him. Where are you? You need to turn yourself in, get things straight with your lawyer, that kind of thing. This is one good thing. A lot of times when NFL player problem, he's not going to be on the run for long, because 9 times out of 10, they usually get themselves turned in because they get the team involved, because that money talks. And again, when I'm owning $1 billion business, you're not going to hurt it.
No,
So if
no.
you
Protect the
if
shield
yes,
is what
yes.
we.
So and when it comes to the NFL, we know right now they're gonna protect the shield. So that young man's gonna have to turn they're gonna turn himself in, and they'll do everything they can to help him out. But at the same time, if he becomes a liability, he's gonna be on the streets real quick. So
Yeah. So my thoughts. First of all, George and I are educators. 30 years of our lives have been spent in front of other people's children, academically or athletically. So our lens is different, and I understand that from my perspective. What I love about athletics or any extracurricular activity is that it provides structure, which are boundaries, discipline, which is accountability, and high levels of support. And what the off season does, and my hate of the off season is tongue in cheek, but it's real. It brings freedom of movement, George. And you don't have all of the things that the athletic piece or the extracurricular brings you. And young professionals, and George touched on it, they have money and they have free time. Wow. And they also lack myelin. Young people don't have fully formed brains, and there's this risk factor, and they think they're Superman and superheroes, and they're impenetrable, and this is hard to do. So I hope everything works out with this young scholar. I do. Um, but again, it goes to the decision making process. Boring wins more than it loses. The NFL has a lot of things in place, along with the NBA and other sports, in terms of getting you to and from places that you may not want to go or what have you. But yeah, I hate the off season because I'm always worried about when they have free time. And man, I just hope that they're better decision makers. You can't raise them in bubble wrap. You got to let them live. But it doesn't mean you don't worry. George, any final thoughts?
I was about to say it's also it's means that money and that fame or whatever that comes along with it gives them the means to do things because the work to a lot of these kids and I get and we can both sit here and talk about it. I mean sit here and relate, and I know I can especially going into a situation where were in a grew up in a small situation. Our situation we grew up wasn't real small, but to go to a whole nother situation where you are now in quote get the man in a lot of layman's terms, or one of them, and those means are provided to you. There's so many other things that you get involved in that you have never been exposed to before. Now you got to imagine they go from being the college scene, now they're stepping up on the pro scene, which is that whole level brings its own set of risks to it because the number of things out there become magnified. So you're going to have situations where dudes slip up totally, especially when they're coming from not having much, not experiencing much, where the only thing they've seen is barely seen the outside of their city, or they've seen a couple different cities traveling with the little AAU teams or some travel team or something. You get them outside of their little nest. Oh hell, it's all it's on at that point in time. So yeah, it's not just the money, but the means to be able to do it. Because now, not only do I have the money, and I get the now just got this brand new BMW or whatever, and I got means to bring the same crew of dudes with me that I had when I was young. And your crew of dudes ain't built the same way, especially
Yeah.
when you coming from nothing. So it brings on its own set of challenges, its
And
own set of
George, you
challenges.
bring up a great point because we didn't say be perfect because
Mm-hmm.
God knows we're not.
Right.
But as you said, fans, George and I have known each other since middle school, and we've got a crew of guys that, for whatever reason, and we're blessed, just look out for each other, whether it's kids or adulting or divorcing or whatever. And a lot of the young folks just didn't come up as we did in terms of just having that tightness of, yeah, we'll get to the line, but man, we won't cross it. So again, we wish this young scholar well. We keep an eye on it. But when we get back, want to talk about things I love in the off season, and I'm going to kick it off with George's favorite team. We'll be right back on the iCoach
God.
podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student-athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
To the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 3, let me tell you the things I'm liking about the off season. The off season brings a lot of risk and reward, and one of the risk and rewards that possibly could happen, George, is reunited, and it feels so good. A little Peaches and Herb dated reference, the Dallas Cowboys and free agent running back Ezekiel Elliott have a mutual interest in a reunion. Zeke only turns 29 in July, George. He saw how life was outside of Dallas and quite frankly didn't like it. I thought he had an overinflated sense of his self-worth in the marketplace, and he saw how quickly everybody moves on. So the 6', 226-pounder, fourth overall selection in the 2016 draft, would you welcome him back, George, with open arms? Talk to me, Cowboys Nation.
At this point right now, yeah, because we don't have any running backs in camp. I think the last time I checked, it was it was interest in Zeke and Dalvin Cook, and I'll bring them both in, and this shows the belittling, the absolute belittling, and it hurts my heart because when we were young growing up, when we knew about the NFL, we could sit here and name every running back on every NFL team. Now it is by committee for everybody, and it just continues, man. I mean, who at this day and age, I swear, back in the day, you couldn't get Zeke and Dalvin Cook on the cheap. Now, the Cowboys gonna get Zeke and probably get Dalvin Cook on the cheap, and the other part of it is they're gonna have to because there isn't much in the draft, even though they could probably get one, and they'll talk about, it'll be a serviceable back. And they'll just, that's because that's the term now, serviceable back. You get 2 serviceable backs, 3 in most cases, and just move on in case one of them gets hurt. So, yeah, it's just the demise of the running back, just straight demise. What's going to happen is some team is going to have to come back and be like, we're going to be committed to the game. Committed to the run game. And just strap up bootstraps and just say 5 yards in a cloud of dust. But the game's not played like that anymore. It probably will never be played like that anymore. So, hey, good luck to him.
But you would welcome him back, though. You would welcome him back.
At this point, yeah, Cowboys got nobody. We got nobody to run the ball.
Okay.
I hope they do, so they don't have to call me. So
All right. I also like the fact that in the offseason, teams take ridiculous chances on players to see if they pan out. And the Kansas City Chiefs will sign former Wales rugby star Luis Rees-Zammit to play running back. Not disrespectful. And wide receiver, according to NFL reports, this kid is 23 and he's a rugby legend already. And he's leaving rugby to come and try to be on the practice squad. During his pro day, Georgie ran a 4.4340, let me see, a large broad jump, and a 29-inch vertical. Uh, that's some good tools to work with. What do you think about a rugby star coming in to take a roster spot?
He's not the first one to do it, so they'll just bring him in camp. Rugby is close, not that it's somewhat close to football, so it costs the Chiefs nothing. If they get a kid if they get somebody that becomes a legitimate star out of it, they spent nothing. It didn't cost them much. And if they don't, they're not losing much. It's like a vaudeville act, man. You roll Barnum and Bailey Circus. You roll the new and amazing giant into town, and if he happens to pan out, hey, we got a new attraction. And if not, he's not going to. But and again, though, this shows you the allure and appeal of playing NFL football in America. All you gotta do is offer, and I'm here. They're coming because they know they're gonna be a bigger star playing NFL football than they would ever be playing rugby back in New Zealand.
All right. So another thing I like about the offseason is what happened with the Eagles. Jake Rosenberg was an Eagles longtime salary cap executive, but he's leaving the Eagles in hopes of furthering his own NFL career. He's a friend of general manager Howie Roseman, and they've been friends since elementary school. He's been with the Eagles since 2012. But again, he's got individual goals and aspirations, and he's betting on himself. And that's what I want to talk about, George. Any thoughts about this guy or anybody right now betting on themselves? Because there's players who are free agents. There are people in the draft that just trying to get an opportunity, trying to get a chance to prove themselves. And this is the time that you can take those risks and see what happens. Any thoughts on that?
A couple things struck me when I saw this. All right. Number one, what the hell is going on in Philadelphia? It's just eerie the way you have people jumping ship. Something is underlying there, and it's one of those things we're going to see on the field once we get back. Once they get back. But something has not been right there and continues not to be right there. It's like it hasn't been right since since the Super Bowl loss. And it just has not spun very well. Number two, more power to him. He's in a situation where he can do that, and it's a great time to do it, to go take a bet on himself, see where he comes up, see what his worth is. And, he's done a great job over in Philly. So let's see, somebody's going to want. He probably would have been a hotter commodity leaving last year than he would this year. But I think that's not going to be a problem. I'm all for people taking a chance for themselves and seeing what's up, unless you're a running back. So that's going to be a good thing. But I keep running back to that question, like what
something's going on in Philly.
Something's not
the
right.
Prince song says something in the water does not compute.
No,
but
yeah, something.
There's an article out today about the owner talking about Jalen Hurts in terms of what he wants him to be, and he wants him to be his more authentic self. And I'm like, man, in the offseason, the owners talk about the quarterback. We got guys retiring. I think they made a trade, of somebody of significance. I don't know. But yeah, something's not right in Philly.
Something's off. And then, people going to understand how important those two retirements of Jason Kelce and the linebacker are.
Fletcher, right?
Hunter, Cox. Okay. Fletcher guy. They were Philly stalwarts, and to keep that team and organization together is, well, we're going to see. We're
We're
going to
gonna pay
see
attention.
because
Washington might win that thing, man.
we already had our blow up of everybody talking about the quarterback. That started almost before the season ended. And then Brown wanted to take all those comments back because, first thing that happened when a locker room's a mess is the wide receiver goes and talks about the quarterback. So that already happened and he took them back. But yes, something is not right in Philly right now.
All right. Finally, upgrades in New Orleans. The New Orleans Saints announced that they're moving their 2024 training camp to the University of California, Irvine, due to construction of their new cafeteria. So we talked a few weeks ago about the player rankings, and the Saints received an F minus in terms of their food and cafeteria grade, ranking 30th in the league. The Saints are now taking. They said they're not doing it because of the player ratings. It was something that they were working on anyway. Any thoughts about investing in facilities for your players in your organization, George?
Well, number one, I'm shocked. New Orleans is one of my favorite cities, and one of the reasons it's one of my favorites for the damn food. I mean, what were they not serving beignets and beignets city that jump? Where the etouffee was bad?
Man.
But I understand it. It is actually they can say whatever they want to about the ratings of this is why we're not doing it. But you got to feed your athletes, and you got to feed them well. You got, if you're gonna put any money into making sure that your product is a better product, you got the food got to be it. So yeah, I mean, I applaud them for doing it. They can say it's not for the report card, but knowing damn well it was, because if the players hadn't said something, they would have never done it. They would have never done it. So yeah, I applaud them for listening to the proletariat on this whole situation, to the peasants, and doing something good to them, because they got to do something with the hierarchy there. But I actually like it because it actually shows that report card at the end of the year actually.
I don't think we'll
something.
ever see that report card ever again. I don't think there's going to be a next year edition. I think the league's going to squash that.
See, I think they will, because it's something.
Owners don't want to hear this, man.
Owners don't. But it's all about, it's lip service for the fans and stuff. And I think most of the time it gives NFL's at a point right now where, as long as they are on somebody's lips, it's a good thing. And if you got fans, to their reactions to that report card, that they're that invested, that they're going on Twitter and blowing it up, man, they're going to keep it out there because they know people are watching. So and to an owner, it doesn't make a damn bit. They don't care. They're like, okay, yeah, all right, whatever. The owner must have got a bad meal down in the cafeteria, so now they got to update it. So.
All right, fans. So as we close, next week is the official kickoff. We're going to begin our formal preparation on things that are strictly entertainment purposes only next week. As we talk this week, we're going to talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. So I wanted to wait until we got all the serious stuff out of the way before we go back to gambling. So we're going to talk initial win totals because, George, they've been released. So I can't wait to put that together for the team and see how you guys are going to look. And yes, I am looking at the Philly over-under win total for the season. Again, strictly for entertainment purposes only. So on behalf of our academic and athletic advisor, George Ockett, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Eye Coaches podcast. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Eye Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.cksaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.